River Road, you got me running way back home. River Road, you got me running all night long. You got me singing some canal boat song. River Road, you got me running all night long.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Niner Nuts. I'm Dan, here along with Eric. I will never point right. Eric is back here with me. We unfortunately do not have James on here, and I feel bad. I personally don't want to do a preview episode of the Jacksonville game without him, since we're going to be there. And rest assured, folks, all plans are good to go still for being there. We got a lot of good stuff coming at you next week when we're actually there, and a lot to recap. It'll be a lot of fun to talk about once we're there. But alas, this week we are coming at you with just a parlay episode. But before we talk about the parlay, we have a big announcement involving this gentleman right here next to me. Superfan Eric has been promoted to a full-time contributor to the Niner Nuts family. I wish James was here to celebrate. We'll do another one.
Thank you.
But yeah, no, I'll speak on behalf of both of us and just say that this was a very easy decision when James and I discussed it, and we absolutely love having you on. We love your passion for the team. We clicked immediately. We've always had a lot of fun with you on mic, and we're very thankful that you have the time to be a regular Niner nut, one of our new buddies that are nuts about the Niners. Kind of stumbling over my words here, but yeah, no, Eric, I'm thrilled. I'm very happy, and just welcome aboard.
Yeah, thanks, Dan. I mean, like I said, when you guys offered me the opportunity to come on full time, I couldn't have been more excited. Was absolutely overwhelmed and thrilled. Getting to do the guest spots with you guys the few times that I've done it has just been an amazing journey. It's been tons of fun. Getting to do these podcasts has just been totally amazing, and I've loved every minute. Like you said, we've just had like an instant chemistry and instantly clicked. And it's just been such a great time every time that I've gotten to be a part of the show. And every time you guys have called, I've rushed home and just been like, oh, I can't wait to do the show tonight. Like, I tell my wife that I'm so excited to come on, and she's like, oh, okay, go ahead. And I'm just like, oh, I can't wait, and I just I'm just giddy with the anticipation. So getting to do this regularly is a real treat for me, and I'm just thankful for the opportunity that you guys gave me. So thank you very much.
Of course, man. I'm so happy to hear that. Which means also, not only do you and I get the dog pile on James come week 13 when we face the Eagles, you get to be a part of our parlays as well. I don't know if we have a nickname for you yet. Jimmy B, unfortunately. Oh, just give me one second. Sorry about that, folks. My cat off mic was chewing something he wasn't supposed to. Anyway, Indiana Dan is here, and we consulted with Mr. Jimmy B for his betting ideas. And Eric, we will come up with a nickname for you in time. But you get to be a part of these now. And
yes, I'm excited.
Hey, folks, sorry about that. I had to step away to get that cat to stop chewing on what he wasn't supposed to. So we're back now, though. And what we're going to be doing is going through our Week 10 parlay picks. As I was trying to say, we were able to consult with Jimmy B to get his blessing on these picks beforehand. But again, unfortunately, he couldn't be here for this episode. But with that in mind, these are our 8 picks this time. We decided adding Eric into here, and we are taping this just before kickoff of the Jets game. So fingers crossed it actually worked this week. You have no idea. Inside baseball, you have no idea how excited James was when he called me at 11:30. I'm about to go to bed, and he's like, "Did you watch the end of the Bengals game?" And I'm like, "I was having a movie night. No, it didn't seem like I missed anything. It was 24-10 last I checked." And he's like, "Oh, well, yeah, the Bengals still won." And he was just so ecstatic, and I am too. If listeners, you'll know by now if our parlay actually paid off. Hopefully, hopefully the Jets end up beating the Chargers, or the Chargers end up beating themselves. Let's say, let's be real. But yeah, hopefully, listeners, we are all celebrating together with how good our parlay went. So we're going to ride that high, presumable high that we have now, and go through all of these games. The very, very first one, excuse me, the very first one is an inter-division game in the AFC North. It is the Baltimore Ravens hosting the Cleveland Browns at 1 o'clock. We were kind of wary on 1 o'clock games this last week, and it paid off, but we dipped back into it, and we have 4 of them this week. The first one that we're talking about, of course, is the Ravens and the Browns. As you see, it's minus 245 in favor of the Ravens. I think we're all three in agreement here that after the last 2 home games that the Ravens had where they shut down the supercharged Lions and then they just took the Seahawks to the cleaners, they only allowed them to score 3 points. This seems like a pretty easy pick, even though Cleveland does, I believe they still have the number 1 defense right now, overall yardage-wise. This shouldn't necessarily be that big of a hassle for the Ravens still to at least walk out with a win. What do you think?
Yeah, I think, the spread of this game is only 4.5 if you were trying to look for something like that. But I think if you're just taking money line and looking for a team to win, Baltimore should easily come away with the win here. I think Cleveland winning would certainly be a big upset this week. Baltimore is clearly the better team. Cleveland has a fantastic, legendary defense right now. So I'm going to anticipate that Baltimore is going to face some trouble, and they're not going to put up the 30-some points that they've been putting up the last couple of weeks. They're not going to look quite as dominant, I don't think. And if Deshaun Watson plays, I think Cleveland will do a little bit more offensively than they had been prior to this past week. I mean, obviously they played well against Arizona, but Arizona was just trash with Clayton Tune or whatever the heck his name was playing anyways. So I don't really count much what they did this particular week. I see this as probably a 10, maybe 13-point victory for Baltimore. Probably something, because people forget Baltimore's defense is playing lights out as well too. I mean, that's the other aspect that people are missing in this whole thing. So I think it's maybe a 20, 24-10, 24-13 type of game, something like that, with Baltimore picking up the win.
Yeah, Cleveland definitely leads. I believe Cleveland has a nice, comfortable lead, or not Cleveland, Baltimore. I believe Baltimore has a nice, comfortable lead in sacks, which of all the specific categories you can look at within a defense, I would put sacks as probably the most or second most important. Maybe scoring. If you can hold people under 20 points, I'd say that's about maybe the second most important. But yeah, no, Baltimore's defense is pretty ferocious, and yeah, it should be.
I think they're only giving up like 13 points a game, something ridiculous like that.
Well, it's kind of hard to get points if you're getting sacked every as often as they are. They are playing pretty remarkably. But
yeah,
if they can consistently keep on this track, I will finally be scared of the Ravens. But all signs are pointing towards that. We know their ceiling is certainly that. And honestly, the good Ravens at home, another chance for them at home. I think it'll be a pretty easy win for them as well. I agree. Sorry.
One last thought on that though too is that the Ravens know too they can effectively knock someone else out in their division too. They already beat the Browns once this season. If they beat the Browns again, that essentially puts the Browns 2.5 games behind them in the division, and that pretty much takes them out for any chance of winning that division. So I mean, it's a big game for the Ravens in that regard in terms of being able to knock out a division opponent.
Oh, yeah. And we're actually going to touch on all 4 of the AFC North opponents. Just looking over this again, viewers.
Oh, okay.
See.
Yeah.
Yeah, that division's a hot mess. Every one of them has 5 wins, and Baltimore has 7.
Yeah.
Dude, did you think that division was going to be as big a deal as it is right now? Did you think Pittsburgh, especially the next game we're going to talk about, might as well just roll into it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I ate a metaphorical hat. I did not believe that Pittsburgh. I still kind of stand by Pittsburgh as the worst 5-win team I've ever seen in my life. I don't know how they fall upward into all these wins that they've had, but here we are. They're a 5-win team. They are at home again, and they're hosting the Packers, who are barely running on fumes right now. I don't know what else needs to really be said personally from this game. It should be an easy Pittsburgh win because just Green Bay is going to have some serious soul searching this offseason. They're not getting it done right now.
Yeah, I mean, Green Bay is bad. Jordan Love has been very unimpressive so far this season. Obviously, he played pretty well this past week against, trying to look real quick who they just beat. They just beat somebody who was terrible. They played
Denver.
the Rams. Yeah, they beat the Rams without Matthew Stafford. So, I mean, like, whoop-de-ding-dong on that, right? I mean, that's nothing. But I agree with you. The Steelers are a huge surprise this season. I thought they were going to be terrible. I thought they would have maybe 1 or 2 wins at this point in time. And here we are again. Mike Tomlin has coached them up. They're playing fantastic football on the defensive side, as they usually do.
Are they playing good football on offense? Are they?
I think. Are they? Well, not on offense. Not on offense. On defense. On defense, yeah. They're like a top 15 defense, I believe.
Their defense is really stout.
Yeah, and then on the offensive side of the ball, they're doing just enough to stay in the games. They're honestly what the Browns wish they could be, right? The Browns have this fantastic, legendary defense, but their offense is putrid. They can't get anything done offensively. If they had the offense that the Steelers had, the Browns would be the top of the AFC, but they can't get out of their own way. So I agree with you wholeheartedly. This should be a walk-away victory for the Steelers. They should confuse the hell out of Jordan Love. He shouldn't know what's going on all day long. He'll probably throw at least 2 picks in this game, and the Steelers should walk away fairly easily in this particular game and be sitting there with 6 wins, probably tied for second place in their division.
I agree. Jordan Love is going to get lost in the terrible towels. I think that's what's going to happen. And Steelers are going to do just enough. Green Bay's defense does have some really good playmakers on it, but with how often the Pittsburgh defense will get Green Bay off the field, I think it'll counter it and it'll exhaust the Green Bay defense.
You talked about sacks. TJ Watt's going to eat Jordan Love up.
Oh, yeah. No, with Bakhtiari basically talking about retirement because he's on IR still. No, he's going to get murdered. It's not going to be pretty. And there'll be a 6-win team, and they'll still be 2 games behind the Ravens because the Ravens we're saying are going to get to 8 wins. But
but Pittsburgh's going to be sitting second place, tied with the Steelers in their division.
What a world.
Or tied with the Bengals in their division. That's ridiculous.
We're going to have 3 AFC North teams in the playoffs. That's this whole conference. We'll talk about the Bengals in a second. That whole division's insane.
Yeah.
So let's cool it down for a less exciting game that we have for our third matchup. We have the New York Jets, who, again, listeners, we are taping this before that kickoff. We don't know. We hope they beat the Chargers, but they still have a top 5 defense in the league. Zach Wilson looks like he's getting just enough done, trying to keep the seat warm for Aaron Rodgers in the playoffs. We'll see if that actually happens, but if anybody is going to come back from an Achilles tear in 6 months or less, my money's going to be on Aaron Rodgers. But they are going to be going to Las Vegas to face the newly rejuvenated Raiders, who celebrated like they just won the college football championship, just getting a victory in week 9 because they got a victory that Josh McDaniels could never coach them into. I don't really know. They don't really have home field advantage because Vegas is very, very neutral. There's a lot of tourism there. And I'm not convinced that Aiden, I'm already forgetting his last name.
O'Connell, thank
you. I want to cheer for that kid because he's from here. He's from Purdue. I want to cheer for him. I want him to have a good game, but I don't think against the Jets defense without a real home crowd behind him, I think he's going to come back down to earth. I think, again, if Zach Wilson does just enough, if he doesn't throw 2 picks, this Jets team is actually good enough. They might squeak in for a wild card. And I think at least keeping it focused on this week, I think they'll beat the Raiders pretty good.
Yeah, I think so this game's a little bit tricky, I guess, just because Zach Wilson can throw up over himself at any point in time, and fumble the ball away and throw 3 interceptions. I mean, so that's highly possible. But I think that the Jets defense is stout enough. I think that they're going to game plan to take away Josh Jacobs and dare Aiden O'Connell to win this game with his arm, and play against those good cornerbacks that the Jets have out there. And I don't think that he's going to be up to the task. I mean, even in this game, against the Giants, in which, the Giants absolutely are just utter trash. He only threw 25 times for 209 yards, didn't throw a single touchdown. Oddly enough, only got 4 receptions to Devontae Adams. I don't understand how you can't get Devontae Adams the ball. But they had Josh Jacobs carry the ball 26 times. So I mean, that's clearly going to be their way of going forward, is to just hand Jacobs the rock 30 times a game and keep the ball out of O'Connell's hands as much as they can. And I don't think that the Jets are going to allow them to do that. The Jets have a bunch of guys up front who can really stuff the run and slow things down. So I think that doesn't play well into the Raiders' hands this coming week. I think the Jets have a real shot. I mean, that's why we got them on the pick list here to win this game. I think it's going to come down to kind of what you said there, Dan, is Wilson not screwing the game up and not giving it away.
Exactly. It's very, very strange that this is a Sunday night football game still. Me and James were holding out that our game was at least going to get flexed to 4:00. We thought our game would have a little bit more weight to it, but yeah, no, we're still going to be subjected to what was supposed to be Aaron Rodgers versus Jimmy Garoppolo, but in different uniforms this time. But now, cool. I guess we're still keeping it. I understand flexing is a very hard thing to do. Don't blast us, but it's just funny to me that you can put all of this effort into the schedule and then it doesn't matter. Like it's still a crapshoot at the end of the day.
Yeah, very much so.
So anyway, going on to the next game. It's a 4:30 game. The Washington Commies, the Commanders, they are going to the Link in Seattle, or Lumen. I don't know what the new nickname is. I still like calling it the Link. I know it's called Lumen Field, but anyway, they're going to Seattle to face the Seahawks with their tails tucked between their legs after the embarrassing loss to the Baltimore Ravens. You want to talk about a team with a real home field advantage, though, facing a team that admittedly does have some pride to them. They are still fighting somewhat. They have an offense that still tries, and their defense still tries, but this is going to be another game without Montez Sweat and Chase Young. That offense can only do so much. Seattle plays much, much better at home, and Pete Carroll won't let them be miserable about losing to the Ravens. They're still going to fight every single week, and this should be a comfy win for the Seattle Seahawks to get a bounce back to try and get back ahead of us. And they'll be praying that we lose to Jacksonville. But anyway, focusing on this game, Seattle should have a pretty easy bounce back win against the Commanders.
Yeah, I really agree with you, Dan. I think Seattle's going to be looking to bounce back. I think Pete Carroll is going to be coaching them up. I think exactly what you said there in terms of knowing that the division is still within their grasp. Knowing that if they keep winning, that they're right on pace for controlling their destiny for perhaps winning the division. It'll be not next week, but 2 weeks out. They'll play us on Thanksgiving night. For what'll be first place in the division, likely at that point in time. So I think he's going to keep them focused on that, knowing that they got to win. The Commanders are okay, right? I mean, they're an average team, right? They're not going to, they're going to be competitive. They're going to hang around, but I think the Seahawks are a good average team, I guess I'll say. And they're a little bit better than the Commanders are, and I think they pick up this win. Probably a 7-10 point win.
Yeah, no, probably nothing super flashy in this game. I don't think the Seahawks are going to bend them over a fence or anything, but no, it should be a nice little bounce back win for them. A nice cushy win.
Yeah.
Talking about a team next that needs a bounce back win, the Buffalo Bills. They are hosting. I don't know why the time's not on there. I don't know what time that game is actually.
Oh, I'll tell you.
It's probably Monday. I think it's the Monday Night Football game, right?
It might be. Yeah, it is.
Yeah, Monday Night Football. So they're going off a Sunday Night Football game into a Monday Night Football game. They're at home this time, though, and they are hosting the Denver Broncos, who at least up to 2 weeks ago were the worst defense in the league. They are starting to play a little bit better, it seems like. It seems like it's finally starting to click a little bit for them. But yeah, the cold is not going to be a factor. They're Denver. They're from the cold too. But with a team as vastly more talented as they are, going into Buffalo. That's the story of Buffalo this year. It's a nice win, then a bad loss, then a nice win, then a bad loss, then a nice win, then a bad loss. This should fall into that nice win category under the lights. They just got embarrassed by Joe Burrow. They want to get their egos back up. They want to feel they're going to want to come out and take it to Denver to show people that, hey, no, we can still contend in this league. Like, that was just a one-off. I want to face Burrow again. So, I mean, I don't know what much else there would be to say. I think Josh Allen should be able to take down Denver pretty easily.
Well, I think we need to start talking about the narrative that the Bills aren't really good. Everybody's got the Bills in this tier with the Chiefs and the Ravens, and I'm going to put the Bengals in that tier. We'll talk about them a little bit later in our picks here. But everybody keeps talking the Bills like they're a Super Bowl contender. They're not good. They're another one of those teams, like I just talked about the Seahawks, where they're a really good average team. They have spent the season winning games against teams that aren't very good. And that's it. And I think, to your point, Dan, they're going to beat the Broncos, but that's because the Broncos themselves are not overly good. And that's really all there is to that. So I expect them to win. They'll probably do the typical Bills thing where they look pretty good doing it. And because it's on Monday Night Football in prime time, they'll get Joe Buck and Troy Aikman talking about them again. And they'll be the talk of the TV and radio again the following week. And they'll play the Jets the next week, and they'll probably get beat by the Jets. Or if it's not the Jets, they'll get waxed by they play the Eagles, Chiefs, and Cowboys the following weeks after that. They'll probably go 1-2 or 0-3 against those teams in the coming weeks because they're not getting out of that series in a positive manner. So I think here in a few weeks, the Bills are really going to be exposed for what they truly are. But they'll win this week.
Yes, I will piggyback on that with just one thought. I didn't watch the primetime game last night. I did, though, watch when they played the Bucks. That was not a convincing win against a team that they should have obliterated. That was, the Bucks defense is above average, but for all the clout that they have and all the hype and the ceiling theoretically that they have, that was not a convincing win to me at Buffalo. So I completely agree with you. Buffalo is going to have the rug come out from under them sooner than later. He shouldn't be in the MVP talks. The Buffalo Bills are just, they're going to be a wild card one and done, I think, this year, assuming they still make the playoffs, which that shouldn't be out of the question. But no, they'll be a wild card one and done. I'll call that now. So anyway, on to the next game. We didn't have a week with the Detroit Lions. They got a nice little break, and now they are going to LA. Gosh, we have a reoccurring theme of teams without a home field advantage this week, I've noticed. They're flying out to LA. There's probably going to be a lot more Detroit blue than LA Chargers blue. We don't know right now. Just the last reminder, we're watching the Chargers and the Jets are playing right now, in about 20 minutes. But so we don't know how they handled or not handled the Jets. But just speaking from history, lately, the last 3 or 4 years of history, the Jets, they just, I don't know. We always say Chargers going to charge. They throw up on themselves. They trip over their own genitals. I don't want to get flagged for anything, but they let wins that they should be able to get easy just slip right through their hands, and then they'll beat up on the Bears. Cool, you kick the crap out of the Bears, but I don't know. When they're going to face a team that is as hungry and just has the spirit of we got nothing to lose, like Detroit has. No, I'm not betting on the Chargers. I think the Lions are going to come back refreshed from their bye week, especially. That's going to be a big factor into this too. And the Chargers are going to have a short week because they're playing right now on Monday Night Football. I think this will be a glorious victory for the Lions in the LA Sun.
Yeah, I'm using a lot of the same logic that I just used for the last game. The Chargers have 3 wins this season. They've beaten nobody. They beat the Vikings, who I don't really believe are any good. They've beat the Raiders, who we know are not any good, and they beat the Bears, who we know are not any good. Anybody else that's actually decent, the Chiefs, Cowboys, Dolphins, they've lost to, and haven't played well in those games. So, I mean, I just don't think that they're any good. I think that they're another one of these teams that's like average to like kind of decent average. Herbert, I think, is a good quarterback, but I don't think that he's got all the talent around him to really be successful. I think that their coach gambles a little too much for what he's got going on his team. And they, as you said, Chargers like to charge, and they end up throwing up all over themselves inevitably every week and giving the game away in some way, shape, or form. And I think that we're going to see that against this Lions team. This Lions team is good. I know in my lifetime, it's hard to see and picture and envision a Lions team is actually good. I'm sure it is for you as well. But this Lions team is actually good. They're 6-2 in the NFC, and they've beaten some decent teams. They're actually good. And I think this is going to be a solid win for them. I think they're going to win by 10 points. I think it's not even going to really be much of a game.
No, I agree with you. It is very strange to see the Lions good. I've not seen as much football as some other viewers have, I'll put it that way. But I've never seen the Lions remotely competitive, let alone a good team. I think I've seen one, maybe two good Lions teams before, but never in the realm of possibility of actually making it to the NFC Championship. And this team really could. Like, it's not unfathomable that this team could make the NFC Championship. They got the spirit behind them. They got the right players. They're all very young. They're all very hungry. Jared Goff wants to prove the world that one Super Bowl was actually in part because of him and not just because of Sean McVay. I don't know. I'm scared of that. I'm legitimately scared of these Lions. Like they get it. They get the benefit of an easy schedule, but like you said, the hard teams that they beat up to this point, they were legit good teams. They could really make some noise come New Year. And they should take care of the Chargers with absolutely no problem.
Yeah, no, I agree.
So onward to Cincinnati. We're on to Cincinnati. Man, I have some thoughts on these guys. Houston going to Cincinnati. If I still lived at Cincinnati, actually, I still couldn't be going to this game because of because I'm going to Jacksonville. If I wasn't going to Jacksonville to be with James, I would definitely, and I still lived in Cincinnati, I would try very hard to go to this game. CJ Stroud is the real deal at quarterback. He certainly is trending in that direction that he could be the real deal at quarterback. D'Amico Ryans is definitely taking this team in the right direction, kind of like the Lions. They have a great fun energy to it. They're taking advantage of that. No one believes in us. They're making things difficult for teams that should run over them if you compare them to last year. That being said, Joe Burrow is healthy, and a healthy Joe Burrow has invigorated this Bengals team. They just kicked the crap out of us. They kicked the crap out of the Bengals, or they kicked the crap out of the Bills. Sorry. And they want so desperately to be ahead of the Kansas City Chiefs and get to the Super Bowl. Now that Joe Burrow is healthy, that is very, very real, a very real possibility. And I'm very sorry, Texans fans. You're metaphorically going into a jungle and not coming out. Like, this is just, I feel bad because CJ Stroud really impressed me. I did only catch the very end of that game, but that was the best part of it. So CJ Stroud is awesome, but no, they're not going to get out of this game. Joe Burrow is on a mission to get to the Super Bowl now that he's healthy.
Yeah, I think people were maybe like a week, maybe 2 weeks off from really understanding that the Bengals are back. The Bengals just looked off for that first 3 weeks of the season. Maybe it was even 4. I don't know. I'd have to look back through, what they let me look through here what their schedule was, but
that's been their MO, kind of like ours. Start the season kind of slow, but then once they get in gear, they're on.
Yeah, I mean, they were 1-3 through the first 4 weeks of the season, so I think people were really kind of sleeping on them, with their bad start, and I don't think they realize just how good that team is right now. That team is clicking on both offense and on defense. Like you said, Burrow is finally healthy. That's making all the world a difference in terms of what's happening on offense there. Their defense is playing really, really well. So they've got it going on both sides of the ball right now. And I think they're going to be I was mentioned earlier, I got them as Chiefs, Ravens, and Bengals as the top 3 teams in the AFC. It's going to be one of those teams that's going to be representing the AFC in the Super Bowl this season, is what I really think. And so, Houston has had a fantastic season. I think if you'd have told anybody that was a Texans fans that their team would have 4 wins by this point in time in the season, I think you would have, made them as happy as they could possibly be. Stroud, to your point, does look like the real deal. He's played fantastic so far this season. But you're just asking too much of this team this early on to beat this Bengals team that they're going to be facing right now. I think they're going to face some defensive schemes that Stroud's not going to be really ready for. The Bengals defensive coach is really good at scheming things up, and they have the players to be able to do it. So I think they're going to just face some things that they're not really ready for. I think the talent level is a little bit of a mismatch on both sides of the ball. Could the Texans win? Sure, they could win. But I just think that the Bengals are going to pull this off. Don't see it being terribly close. Again, feel like this is probably this feels kind of like a 10, 13-point win to me. I think the Bengals are going to kind of walk away with this one.
I don't know what the spread is. I only have those hundreds in front of me. But honestly, if the Texans keep it within 10, moral victories don't count, but they would in that case. If they can keep within 10 points of the Bengals, I would call that a moral victory and a step in the right direction.
The spread is actually 8.5.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. That's way more generous than I thought it was going to be.
I wouldn't have thought it was that high.
No, I thought it would have been like 10 or 12, like some odd number like that. Like, well, okay, well, yeah, I would hope just try to get the moral victory out of it. I think they're going to play good enough that they're not going to get embarrassed. But again, you are going against the Bengals. Like, I mean, good luck. I hate to just casually, because this is the perfect setup for a trap game. But no, this is not the Bengal. Joe Burrow is on a mission. He's not going to let Houston trip him up.
No, I don't think so.
Anyway, we need to get to this last game. It is our fifth 1 o'clock game. This is the one that we had the most debate about off mic. We don't necessarily need to go into all of that, but anyway, we have the New Orleans Saints going to Minnesota, and you were saying okay, average for a few of these teams. The Saints are the textbook definition of okay, and their defense has some moments here and there, and their offense has some moments there, but going to Minnesota, I don't know. I'm siding with Jimmy B on this one. I think Minnesota does have a real home field advantage at home. I think that defense is going to be able to handle the very bland Saints offense very, very well. And then Josh Dobbs, he's fresh off of being traded over, and they just won a game that they definitely shouldn't have. But I don't know. I get this feeling like Jimmy B that but Dobbs is very smart between the ears. I think that with all the traveling that he has done, I think that he's going to be able to handle that Saints defense okay. Benefit to being at home. I think home field advantage really is going to play a big factor into this too. I think the weapons he has are better than he had in Arizona too. Or oh my God, I already forgot where he was. Arizona, yeah.
Yeah.
I think he's got better weapons here than he does in Arizona, even without Justin Jefferson. I think it's I don't know. As weird as it sounds, like that their season is still somewhat kind of alive. It's not entirely out the window yet. I think that they'll be able to pull it off against the Saints. You being the one that was the most apprehensive about this pick, what's your 2 cents on it?
This is the one I hate the most on our entire card. So you mentioned that they have the home field advantage. Minnesota is a plus 1.5 on the spread, which means that they're not even getting home field advantage in terms of the spread. I don't believe in Joshua Dobbs. Jimmy B seems to love Joshua Dobbs. He had him in the Arizona game a couple weeks ago. Now he's riding him in Minnesota again. He's a big believer in Mr. Dobbs. I don't know what to do with him and that guy, but that's his thing. So
I would agree with him. He's not a terrible quarterback. He's definitely. I would take him.
There's far worse. Yeah, I mean, there's that dude
over PJ Walker.
There's that hot dog vendor that plays quarterback for the Giants. I mean, I would take him over that guy.
I would take him.
Sure.
If Nick Mullins was healthy, I would probably take him over Nick Mullins too, honestly. But I think Nick Mullins was still on IR. But anyway, no, I would take him over Nick Mullins. I would take him over Zach Wilson. I would feel much more comfortable with Josh Dobbs over Zach Wilson if they had the chance.
Yeah, maybe so. I don't know. He does have more. He does have more talent surrounding him in Minnesota than he did in Arizona. So I will give you credit there. So for me, the Minnesota Vikings are kind of like my kryptonite, right? Like every time I bet on the Vikings, they lose. Every time I bet against the Vikings, I just have this horrible love-hate relationship with the Vikings that I can't ever seem to get across. So I hate this game. I hate everything about it. I'm just hoping and praying that you guys are right and that I am wrong. I think that the Saints, I don't know. This is such a hard game for me because this is a game of two teams that I think both are just as average could be, right? I think that the Saints are, like you just said, I think that their offense is very vanilla, very basic. They've got a couple playmakers, but they don't really seem to do anything with them. I think that their defense has a couple of playmakers, but they don't really take advantage of them, and they don't ever really seem to show up and stand out. Same thing with the Vikings. The rookies seem to be stepping up and playing up for the Vikings, but they don't seem to be making anything happen out of it. So I mean, like, I don't know. I hate this game. I wanted you guys to take it off the stupid card.
That's how I feel. That's how I feel. That's how we feel about the Falcons. The Falcons bit us in the butt the same way every single time. The way you've said the Vikings have bit you in the butt. Off mic, I threw the black ball at Tennessee and the Bucks because I can't get a read on either of them either. Both of those teams, outside of the Falcons, the three teams I can't personally get a read on are the Falcons, the Bucks, and the Titans. Especially with Will Levis playing now for the Titans, I don't know what the hell to expect with any of those three teams. And me and James at least agree on the Falcons. We'll have to touch base with him on the Titans and the Bucks, but. If any of those three teams are involved, I get very apprehensive if I see any of those three teams.
Yeah, I think Heineke is actually not terrible as a quarterback, and I think that the Falcons actually have a decent amount of talent on both sides of the ball. I think they just are kind of like feeling themselves out a little bit. Now, normally I wouldn't pick the Falcons, but the Cardinals are just so terrible that
Arthur
I thought
Smith
as long
has
as
not figured them out yet.
That's true. That's true.
Not to say he's a good or bad coach. Whatever he is, he hasn't figured it out yet.
Yeah. I just thought playing against the Cardinals with Carson Toon or whatever the heck his name is at quarterback, they got no shot. They're not going to win that game. So I thought the Falcons would be a good bet against that. Now, if Kyler Murray plays, different situation. I wouldn't have touched that game with a 10-foot pole. But with Toon at quarterback, I thought the Falcons would eat him alive because he just looked like he had never played a game of football before in his life playing in Cleveland. So
yeah.
That was my only thought on that.
With Kyler back, though, I don't blame them for not starting Kyler last week against Cleveland's defense. Why on earth would you throw a guy with a freshly prepared knee into that? That was very smart of them to not do that.
Yeah, for sure.
But anyway, guys, those are our parlay picks. If you didn't see, I'll pull it back up just for a quick sec. We're each throwing $5 into this $550 payout. It went up after we talked about it for a little bit.
Hey,
it wasn't that high before, but not that much. And anyway, disclaimer, I don't know if I have to do this disclaimer, but please double check your state, the legality of whether you do fantasy or no gambling or all gambling. Please double check your state. We are betting legally through me. All our odds are subject to change, and we got them today via Draftkings. If you couldn't tell from the graphic, they're from Draftkings. Anyway, now with that out of the way, I need to also tell you about our sponsor for this series, RoyalRetros.com. What's RoyalRetros.com? It is your go-to place to get a authentic throwback jersey. They cover all the major sports, basketball, baseball, football, especially all you Niners fans. They have a Candlestick Park collection on sale right now. You can go there, check out everything they have Niners related. Again, the Candlestick Park collection's there, and you can get 10% off of your order with our code below me, Shady Sports. Type that into the promo code section when you're in checkout, and you'll get 10% off of your entire order. Again, it is RoyalRetros.com. Use the promo code Shady Sports, and you get 10% off of your entire order. Go get yourself a Royal Retro jersey today. And now to talk about our charity that Eric, you are now a part of as well. It is below you there at bonfire.com. We have some amazing shirts that I will show you here. But the reason we're taking on this charity, taking this on, is because we want to take on ownership accountability. So what is that? If you haven't heard it before, we think the owners need to be held to the same standards that players are. There have been numerous owners that needed to be held accountable, and to extents have. We just need to see how certain trials go out. We saw what happened to Daniel Snyder, the minority owner for the Houston Texans. He had some very disgusting things allegations come out about him, allegations. And then our own CEO, Jed York, had some shady stuff going on as well. And we at Niner Nuts are just kind of tired of it. So we started this hashtag owner accountability, owner standards over player standards. We think that needs to be rebalanced, and the owners need to be held to the same accountability that the players are. So with that, we do have some shirts that we have commissioned to be designed, and all of the proceeds from these shirts are going to a Kentucky Crisis Center. It will be named, but the money is going to be going to a Kentucky Crisis Center. Our first design here is the little banner that's going below me. Owner standards over player standards, hashtag owner accountability. We want to get that hashtag going. You see all the sizes and colors there. A lot of different variety you can add for that shirt. Our second one, we've had this before when we were running the Daniel Snyder campaign. We decided to bring it back. It is a beautiful design with the owners in a very comical, yet still the message is there, standoff with each other. Absolutely beautiful design. It is only in gray, though. Keep that in mind. The next shirt is our album cover, or our podcast album art, so to say. This is what you see, obviously, when you're on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, wherever you are. Very traditional, that is your jam. We have an alternate of the logo as well. This one's in red. You can see it's in burgundy blue, a couple other colors, but this is a very beautiful alternate design that we have with the goalposts and the nuts on them. And then our last shirt, our adorable mascot, a peanut, eating nuts. I don't know if that's cannibalism or not, but he is happy as a clam eating the bowl of peanuts while watching the 49ers. It is a beautiful shirt. And again, guys, every single one of these, all 5 of these shirt designs are on bonfire.com. If you just Google Bonfire Niner Nuts, we literally pop up. I verified it. We are the first thing that pops up. It's right below. That's not a hyperlink. You have to copy that. But anyway, they are there, and we do not want any proceeds from these shirts. These proceeds are going to be going to a yet to be named Kentucky Crisis Center. We just want you to have a cool shirt and know that you helped out somebody in need. So with that, I traditionally like to go to Roto World and check out what's going on in player news, but nothing really has stood out to me right now. I am looking at it right now.
Well, ESPN says Murray's going to start on Sunday.
That is true. Kyler Murray is coming back. Deebo Samuel is back. Actually, Deebo Samuel was spotted at practice today. I didn't see what his designation was. He probably was limited, let's be real. But we're back at practice. We're going to be in Jacksonville. For real, we are going to be in Jacksonville, me and James. We are going to be there covering the game. We don't have press credentials, so we can't talk to Kyle, but we're going to go there. We're going to hang out at the tailgates. We're going to talk to some people, and we're going to be watching, hopefully, the 49ers end the 3-game losing streak and take down Jacksonville, take Jacksonville down a peg. Don't give them their 7th win. Get us our 6th win. And jokingly, I will jump into that pool if we lose out of just sorrow. Jacksonville is good. I will say that, but there's no reason we shouldn't be able to handle them even in Jacksonville. Even though, dang it, we got another team on a bye week.
Yeah.
This is the 3rd time this has happened. I think it happens another time. Strictly talking bye weeks, it's a whole nother thing with our 2 primetime short week holiday games. That's a whole nother thing in itself. But in terms of bye week, I don't remember if we have another one. But yeah, no bye week advantage for us. So that's awesome. Thanks, schedule makers.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's all I got, guys. We did go a little long on this episode, but hey, this is the the one time you get to see us before we go off to Jacksonville. Eric, you got anything to close out on?
No, just thanks for making me a part of the Niners Nuts family. Really excited to be here, and looking forward to the game this weekend. Hoping, like you said, the Niners can break out of this skid. It's going to be a tough game, I think. Both teams got a lot to play for. Jacksonville's playing for some pride and respect out there in the AFC, and the Niners are playing to get back on top and show people that they're a true contender. So it's going to be a bang 'em up game. So hopefully we can come out on top.
Absolutely. I don't remember what channel we're on, but it's at 1 o'clock East Coast time, 10 a.m. West Coast time. We're going to Jacksonville. And yeah, we'll catch you all next week. Beat the Jags.
River Road, you got me running way back home. River Road, you got me running all night long. You got me singing some canal boat song. River Road, you got me running all night long. River Road, where have all the women gone? Have they kissed her hand and waved you bye-bye? Have they thought about crossing your double yellow lines? River Road, they love the way you whine and cry.